Shedeur was talking about working out with the scout team. I think Mary Cabot must have asked him what he thought about it. He said it's like having a game every week. He likes working with the guys. And y'all know Shedeur is good at developing players. So shout out to the scout team because they're getting a rare opportunity to be developed by a true QB1 elite quarterback. So y'all see how it worked out for Luke Floria, and you see how it worked out for Gage. Gage is also on the practice squad. So that means these two get to continue to work together. Now, I don't think Luke Floria came back yet, but y'all let me know if he did.
Because I truly believe the receivers we have on the scout team is really explosive and they're really great. They just need an opportunity. So, yeah, I'm very thankful. I have those guys, out there with me whenever I'm out there competing.
And
every week, so I have 6 games a week, so I'm happy rather than just having 1 game a week, on the weekends. So the scout team receivers, all of us, we all know like every day's game day, and we definitely approach everything in that fashion and everything because I truly believe the receivers we have on the scout team is really explosive and they're really great. They just need an opportunity. So. Yeah, I'm very thankful. I have those guys, out there with me whenever I'm out there competing.
So, all right. So what this shows is Shedeur is a grateful heart, right? He has a great mindset about, where he is with the Browns. I think he's happy to be in the NFL. He knows his worth for sure. And that came out after we learned he didn't want to back up Lamar. He didn't want to back up Jalen Hurts, right? But he has a great attitude about it. And I think it's going to serve him well enough to wait on God to move him to the next level. I think everybody is starting to see that there's some foul play happening here with Shedeur. See, at first, people just wanted to say, oh, he's not good because the owners took him off the board, or oh, he's cocky, or he's entitled because the owners took him off the board, or he's really not a true QB1 like they predicted. He wasn't that good at Colorado. All of that has been proven false. All of it. And what has been proven is the 2 teams that came out about Baltimore and or Philly calling Shedeur are teams that also have a black quarterback. So they wanted to bury Shedeur on the depth chart. So he ended up being buried in Cleveland. That's what it proves. That's what it proves. Why didn't Minnesota call? Why didn't the Rams call? Why didn't the 49ers call? Because they had to get permission from the owners as to who could call. And they chose teams where Shedeur would have absolutely no opportunity. The NFL is going to have to answer for this. They're going to have to answer for this. And when you look around the league and you see the likes of Michael Penix Jr. and, what's happening in Atlanta, it's shameful. It's just purely shameful that these guys worked all their lives to get to the NFL, drafted by the NFL, only to be shunned by the NFL. That's what's happening here. All 16 of the quarterbacks that we talked about that made history, it seems like the NFL is working overtime to make sure they get robbed of their opportunities, or they don't have good seasons, or they're sacked excessively, or they're buried on the depth chart. Or they have a year or 2 to get it together when Daniel Jones can reinvent himself and get paid to do it. People are talking about how Daniel Jones is getting paid $100,000 per game or something that he wins. He had 6 years to get it together, and suddenly Justin Fields or Caleb Williams got to go. Or Shedeur can't even get the opportunity. But 40-year-old Flacco can underperform. And nobody say anything about his age. But since I've been watching Baltimore, all I hear when they talk about DeAndre Hopkins, how old he is. Why is that relevant right now? If he out here balling out and making one-handed catches like he's 23, we don't need to keep talking about his age because nobody talks about Flacco's age. They think it's perfectly fine for Flacco to play 4 and 7, 8 quarters of a damn game and not score at all. But Michael Penix Jr. is over here torn up about it. And Shedeur can't even get the opportunity. It's sad what's happening to these players, these quarterbacks, these black quarterbacks. It's just bogus. So Shedeur has the right attitude, and this is what he's going to need to go forward. And I hope the guys coming into the league like the Lenore Sellers and the Cater Salters understand. You damned if you do, and you damned if you don't. So just come on in here and read your Bible, and you're going to have the same attitude. And this ain't about Shedeur. And yes, Michael Penix Jr. is a good quarterback. They wasted year one, his rookie year, after he was drafted first round. Now he caught up in some politics over there with absolutely no points on the board in year two. The man just want to play ball. He just want to play ball. And my heart goes out to him. He's a quarterback trying to make something happen on a team that don't want nothing to happen. Well, this is where Michael Penix Jr. gets his welcome to the NFL. And all the guys that's ready to go next, y'all better understand something here. Y'all not going to be able to do what it is you wanted to do. You're not going to be able to just sit up there and ball out because that's what you wanted to do and that's what you always dreamed of. No, that's not what's happening here. What's happening to Shedeur has nothing to do with his dad. What's happening in Atlanta has nothing to do with Coach Prime. What's happening in Cleveland has nothing to do with Coach Prime. This is about black quarterbacks. Let's not forget, they quietly made history at 16, and fans had to celebrate it because the NFL clearly didn't want to talk about it. And when you look at those 16 and what they're going through right now, it's a shame. It's bogus. It's bogus. This is why Shedeur is not playing in the NFL, because he will be number 17. He's a quarterback. He's a black quarterback at a time in the NFL where they have 16 and they don't want 17. And this is going to negatively affect Kaden Salter. It's going to negatively affect Lenore Sellers and everybody else coming out next year. Because of the timing that they're coming out. The NFL has never changed how it feels about black quarterbacks. Especially at a time when they get ready to make history for the first time ever, where black quarterbacks are becoming the majority of the starters. Understand, as white quarterbacks become the minority for starting quarterbacks, you've seen all kind of musical chairs. You've seen all kind of excessive sacks and shenanigans and people being buried on the depth chart that can go out there and ball out right now, like Shedeur Sanders. And you see people like Flacco, who's a 2% battery life, along with Aaron Rodgers, who not going to win nothing, taking up space from people like Shedeur. And then over there in Atlanta, you see all kind of tomfoolery happening, which is interrupting the greatness of Michael Penix Jr. And that's why Daniel Jones is over there in Anthony Richardson's spot in Indianapolis. There was no reason for Daniel Jones to leave Indianapolis. Why didn't he just take J.J. McCarthy's spot? Because he's not him. Instead, they want to take Anthony Richardson's spot. 17-32. In fact, it would be 17 if Daniel Jones had taken Anthony Richardson's spot. So that ought to tell you, between Anthony Richardson, Michael Penix Jr., hell, Jalen Hurts and Jaden Daniels and C.J. Stroud and Shedeur Sanders, it ought to tell you the extremes they willing to go through to control the lives of these black starting quarterbacks. Jim Crow. You can't even watch a game without these guys not having adequate protection all of a sudden, or being denied, or buried on the depth chart like Milroe. Is he still over there? And Sam Darnold is doing a horrible job. Why couldn't he stay in Minnesota and back up J.J. McCarthy? So no, they moved Daniel Jones and Sam Darnold and moved out Geno Smith and Anthony Richardson, and went and got Carson Wentz off his couch, another 2% battery life, taking up space from these young black quarterbacks that were drafted. I could see if the league didn't draft them, but hell, they keep drafting them to destroy their careers and have them benched or excessively sacked or whatever. It's disgusting. Just like Mel Kiper Jr. said on draft night. So now you know he realized what the hell was happening. So Coach Prime was on the Heights with the Kelsey brothers. A good interview. I heard what he said. The takeaway from the draft about Shedeur getting a call from Baltimore, and he made sense. He never sat on the bench and thought to himself, wow, I learned a lot today. In other words, people suggesting Shedeur sit on the bench to learn behind, whether it's Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson is overlooking the fact that why is it two of the greatest black quarterbacks out here? Why he got to be paired up behind him? It should show you that the league is going through extremes to make sure Shedeur never plays. But why did they draft him? Nobody talks about that. So Coach Prime was on New Heights talking about it, and they love the quote, right? It made sense. It made no sense for Shedeur to go to Baltimore or to Philly. It's ridiculous that that was even a thought. But people should walk away from the reality of the NFL with not just Shedeur, black quarterbacks in general. So once again, they're just exposing themselves with these musical chairs. That's all it is. It's like we just want to watch good football. And this is going to affect black quarterbacks for years to come. Understand that. This is no different than 1968. The difference is they just not saying it out loud like they did to Marlon Briscoe and the Denver Broncos. We don't want you to be our quarterback, but you can switch off to another position. I actually saw a comment today that I thought was damn good. It said, did the NFL ever apologize to Lamar Jackson for the way they treated Lamar Jackson? No. Which means they're not going to apologize to Shedeur Sanders. They're going to keep steamrolling these black starting quarterbacks. I don't know what their next move should be other than to start their own league, because that's what I said. Right? I even went out and found the damn field that is open to the public for 11 on 11. These guys going to have to ask themselves what matters. Because it's not going to be easy. They're going to continue musical chairs for probably the next damn 5 years. And maybe people will see it when there's only 12 black quarterbacks or 10. So shout out to Coach Prime for doing what he does best, basically telling the truth. Now, when it talked about Shedeur and predicting when he'll play, he said he thinks he'll play sooner than we realize. And he said he thinks he knows exactly what it's going to be. Now, here's what I learned about the Browns after the Browns game. I learned that Browns media wants a new quarterback. Why? Because Quinshon Judkins is doing a damn good job, and he needs a damn good quarterback to also be at the helm. And also, all of the gains by the defense, some of them are being wasted with Joe Flacco at the helm. But see, this is what people not realizing here. You mean to tell me Cleveland is willing to damn near lose every damn game with Flacco? So in the comment sections, the Cleveland fans, yes, they're happy they won, but they want another quarterback. Now, that was not a surprise. I thought they were just going to be happy with the win and keep it pushing. And some of them are like that. But there are people who are more analytical, who understand football, that when you have a bad quarterback, it's actually 3 and out, just like Colorado. You're wasting the gains of the defense, just like Colorado and Georgia Tech. It's the same thing happening in Cleveland. In Atlanta, I saw the same comment that Colorado fans have. Why do we have an offensive coordinator that all he does is call 8,000 bubble screens? That's one of the biggest complaints in Atlanta right now. So they say they're going to take their offensive coordinator out the booth and put him on the field and hope that helps the process. Not if he call it 8,000 bubble screens. What it should tell you is they know exactly what kind of plays that are disruptive to winning that the OC is calling. If your only suggestion is to move him from the box to the booth instead of changing up the plays, see, they're not calling favorable plays for these quarterbacks to play their best games. In fact, Cleveland don't even want to play their best football. They don't give a damn. They could play their best football. They could be stars. They don't want that because that requires Shedeur. They don't even want to put Dylan out there because they don't even want to start the conversation. So Shedeur has the right mindset in Cleveland because, it's obvious he knows they don't want to do nothing for him. So he's making the best of it with the scout team. Maybe him and some of the scout team members will end up on another team somewhere in the future, even if it's his own league. And Michael Penix Jr., my heart goes out to him. He was walking off the field And I was looking at the look on his face. He had his hands like covering his eyes, like he was trying to, stop from crying. And I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I don't think people understand how hard these guys work. And they're being stopped dead in their tracks. They don't want them to look good. What does that do? Well, if we play ball like this for the next 2 years, you know what it's going to do? You're going to forget what Michael Vick looks like when he played. You're going to forget all the high-flying action. You're going to slowly start to accept the check downs. You're going to slowly start to accept the dumbing down of the quarterback position. So when next year I go get 3 or 4 white guys in the first round and they not that good, it ain't going to matter because the rest of them not that good either from what I can see. That's what this is about. All of that talent, all of that athleticism is being shunned. And so is winning, and winning in excellent fashion is being shunned. Because if they keep wanting Black players' athleticism, there will be 17, 18, or 19 of 32, and they don't want that.